Today we will be discussing how the heroic role has evolved from heroes, goddesses, and why these myths still matter today. In modern times, heroes are Thorfinn and Batman. However, ancient goddesses such as Durga, Guan Yin, Isis, and Medea can also be considered heroes. This shows heroes exist across cultures and genders. A hero in myths uses many means along their heroic journey. However, a hero does not need to be successful in their quest as long as they attempt to right a wrong. However, myths of old tended to exclude women from these roles and relegated them to minor appearances with little importance in the hero's journey. In the next slide, you will see an interview with Durga and Guan Yin that proves this wrong as they are goddesses of great importance.
I am the goddess Durga, and my story of how I became a hero began when I was born from the gods of the Hindu pantheon who were unable to defeat the demon bull. And through my birth, I went through a 10-day battle where I defeated the demon bull's generals and armies. And at the end of the 10-day battle, I beheaded the demon bull and ended his rule of the heavens.
After defeating the demon bull, Durga became a being of divine order with a festival in her name. Durga Puja was a private festival held in the wealthy people's homes to show their influence. This changed during colonial rule as Bengali people wanted to unite and needed a figure that could accomplish this goal. This figure was Durga, who many Bengalis revered, and thus Durga Puja evolved into a festival of community.
I am the goddess Guan Yin, and I decided to reincarnate as a human. My reasoning was that I wanted to experience human life, but when I was reincarnated, my father wanted me to marry to a noble family. However, I refused unless this marriage was able to end human suffering. And when he said that's impossible, I said I would only marry a physician. And he grew angry, so he sent me to a temple where I finished all the worst chores. However, I was not alone, as my animal companions and friends helped fulfill these chores for me. However, he was upset by this, so he burnt the temple, and when I extinguished these flames through my own hands, he had me executed. But this was not the end of my story. As I went to hell and made it filled with life, and the ruler of the underworld expelled me from his realm. And now I spend my time on the fragrant mountain where I rescue sailors who are drowning.
Guan Yin was not always a goddess, but instead a male bodhisattva from India. He was later conformed to Chinese norms and was popularized as ancient China was full of warfare, disease, and natural disasters. So the people sought a figure who could help them during difficult times, landing on Guan Yin and thus causing her popularization and the expansion of the role she governed. As Durga and Guan Yin showed goddesses were just as important compared to the male gods, these next interviews will be with figures I consider to exemplify the traits of traditional heroes such as courage, achievement, sacrifice, and cultural leadership.
I am the goddess Isis, and when my husband Osiris was dismembered by his brother Set, I went on a journey to find his body parts and revive him. And when he was revived, he became the king of the underworld. However, my journey did not end there, as on my journey I had my son Horus, who, through my help, defeated his father's murderer Set. And through this journey, Horus became the very first pharaoh of Egypt.
Isis used diplomacy to achieve victory, which was important to Egyptians as they believed words held magical powers, causing Isis to be held in high esteem in her pantheon. As a result, her achievements of the spoken word made her a cultural leader in Egypt. This is shown by the fact funerary texts, prayers, and hymns are inspired by her, thus making her the most outspoken deity in her pantheon.
I am Medea, and my journey begins with my husband Jason, who sought my father's golden fleece. However, my father refused, so I decided to deceive him and help him steal the golden fleece. However, my father grew upset and sent a search party for me, and from this search party was my brother, who I dismembered and threw into the ocean, which distracted my father, allowing us to escape. However, when we reached my Jason's homeland, he did not become king, and we instead fled to a small town where we had children and lived happily. However, our story did not end there, as Jason betrayed me and left me for a princess to find his kingdom title that he did not find with me. And through revenge, I sent a present to his wife that set her aflame along with her father, and this flame threat spread throughout the city, burning it down. In the house, as I was in fear of retribution, I poisoned my children and ran away.
Medea used deception to achieve her vengeance, and through this she became a hero due to the courage it took to seek justice in a time when it was normal for women to accept an unfaithful husband. Despite this, Medea still sought justice. However, it came at the sacrifice of her kids, which caused many to consider her a villain in her era. However, due to her courage, Medea is shown as a feminist figure in modern times and has become a cultural leader. Myths still matter today as they allow people to express the pain they feel in society, as shown by the evolution of Durga, Medea, and Guan Yin due to their society strifes. However, as time moves forward, modern myths such as Superman, Thorfinn, and Batman also continually showcase the hopes our society believes to be just. In conclusion, heroes have never been a stagnant symbol, but instead an ever evolving role, adjusting to the needs and values of society.